Good afternoon, Guillem and Celia.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to this interview and joining me today. Um, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna start asking you some questions about your bachelor thesis.
Yes, perfect.
First, I wanted to ask you, what is the field of your bachelor thesis?
In my case, my PhD is about a medical device. Specifically, I'm trying to design the communication interface of a neurostimulator. So it's a device that gives an electric impulse to the vagus nerve, and this can have some applications such as therapy for epilepsy or for depression.
I'm involved I'm in a collaboration with a startup which is doing it's more research and development because I'm trying to participate with them and making like the scientific discovery in order to know. Well, they develop like a system to do the immunological test in 15 minutes, like super fast, because in fact their intellectual property that I can say it because it's patent, if not. So now that they have achieved good results by detecting the hepatitis and hepatitis B, C, another one, I'm trying to reduce some laboratory process like PCR is one example with their technology. There are a lot of fields like electrics, mechanics, but microfluidics is the important one because we are working in lab on a chip. So
Very interesting. Thank you. Well, the next question was about your specific thesis, but you already answered. So,
yeah.
what was your motivation, or what did appeal to you to choose this topic?
So basically, my main motivation was the application that can have my TFG. That, as I have said before, it could be used for therapies for diseases such as epilepsy or depression. And the thing that happens is that nowadays these type of therapies are not really well studied because there are different parameters and configurations of this electric impulse that still are not known how they can interact with the biological tissue. So in order to make it easier to do more studies of this type, I'm trying to develop this medical device, this implant that could help to do more studies in this field.
And you, Celia, why did you choose?
Because I did an Erasmus last year and I found an internship for 2 months and I was involved in this project and I asked if I could continue the project because in 2 months like you learn it's obvious that you can learn something but not deeply the whole project. So as I was involved in it, I asked if I could come back to continue and I like it. I find it super interesting and that's why I continue.
Okay, thank you. Then I wanted to ask, what are your limitations, or what did you expect? Do you expect to find as your limitations while developing your projects?
Maybe the time it takes to as I'm working with also pieces that we design in with the 3D printer, the times because the 3D printing is not only for me, it's for the whole building, so the time it takes to print it and I have to wait in order to use it, but all depends on this plastic holder. Maybe on this or in the materials that I need, and it takes time maybe to do the command to the manufacturers and these kind of things. And I depend also of the results on the biological results, which is a PhD is doing it. So I have to like be in contact with him in order to know which results he is getting and how can I apply my like microfluidics on the results he gets. Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, maybe it could be similar in talking about materials. Obviously, it's a limitation because as I want to design an open source device, it means that it has to be low cost. And depending on the materials, if it's way too much expensive, they would this medical device would not have an extra value for these studies. And also maybe the size because as it's an implant, it has to be really small in order to be implanted. So obviously, when we try to design the electronics of this medical device, we always have to take into consideration these factors.
And do you expect to work on these devices when you finish your degree?
In these exact devices, like the one I'm working on.
Yes, like do you see future on this, and maybe you working after you finish your degree, still working on it, like finishing.
I don't know if I would be working like in the same exact device, because I'm just like continuing a series of bachelor thesis. So there will be another student that will follow my work. But for sure, I would like to, in the future work that I could have, to work in a similar field and, for example, trying to design a similar medical device for another company.
And for me, it's the same as Guillem. I don't know, because next year I want to do a master, so I suppose that other students will continue what I'm doing now. I want to to be in research and development field for some companies or startups or lab. I don't know.
Well, thank you to both of you for your answers. That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you.